Welcome everyone to our next webinar, our PCM webinar series. Today we're going to be talking about HSAs, health savings accounts. I'm joined by Andrew Randisi and Chris Mallon. They're both certified financial planners here at PCM. And I'll send it over to you guys to take it away.
Thank you, Leslie. All righty. Health savings accounts, hidden wealth builders. So what is an HSA? It's a health savings account are tax advantage accounts that can be used to manage healthcare deductibles and out-of-pocket medical costs, allowing you to save for future healthcare expenses. Contributions go into HSAs through payroll deductions before federal, state, and FICA taxes. So, earn $1,000, contribute $1,000, goes in clean. Nothing gets pulled out beforehand. Interest, dividends, and capital gains grow in there tax-free. And then when you take money out for medical costs, health expenses, they come out tax-free. So you don't pay any, income taxes like you would if you pulled money out of an IRA or another tax-deferred vehicle. HSA eligibility. So who can contribute and how can you contribute? To be eligible for HSAs, you must have a high deductible healthcare plan. The minimum allowable deductible is $1,500 for self-only coverage or $3,000 for family coverage. So what does that mean? If you have a plan that has a deductible of $1,000 or $500, then it would not qualify to have an HSA account attached to it. The maximum out-of-pocket costs are $7,500 for self-only coverage or $15,000 for family coverage. Again, conversely, on the other side, if you have a plan that has deductibles that are higher than these, it would, again, not qualify to have an HSA attached. If you are enrolled in Medicare, you can no longer make contributions to an HSA. Finally, once you turn 65, Medicare premiums and out-of-pocket costs can continue to be distributed from your existing HSA. So if you had one before, hit retirement, you can still use it, can just no longer add new funds into it. And Andrew's going to talk about some HSA contribution limits.
Contribution limits. First, we'll get started for 2023. For an individual's contribution limits, it is $3,850 for individual coverage. For family coverage, what it usually is, it's double. So in this case, it would be $7,750 for 2023. Now, if an account holder is age 55 and older, there is an additional $1,000 catch-up that's allowed. With sometimes for married spouses that are both over age 55, an additional $1,000 can be contributed to both their HSAs. Now, what happens in this case would be is you'd have the second spouse would open up a second HSA because the first spouse would be able to put in $7,750 for the family coverage plus the additional $1,000 catch-up. But all spouses and the family members have to be on the family coverage in order for this to happen.
Makes sense. All right.
Distributions, like Chris mentioned earlier, for healthcare expenses are tax-free. Distributions for non-medical expenses are going to be taxed and could be subject to a penalty. Additionally, like I said before, there is a 20% penalty on withdrawals for account owners under age 65. As Chris mentioned earlier, once you get over age 65, these HSA accounts kind of become very similar to like having a second pre-tax IRA, when if you do not use it for if you take a distribution for non-medical expenses, you're just simply paying ordinary income tax, and that 20% penalty does not apply. But as always, no matter what age you are, if you're taking it for a medical expense distribution, that's going to be tax-free.
I'll add a little note here. I had an HSA at my previous employer before I came to PCM, and I was using it to pay medical expenses for my kids and I. And just kind of I would add into it with the payroll contributions, but I was also kind of depleting it with our medical expenses. And then I came to PCM and I met Andrew and Chris, and they pointed out the benefits of, if you can, try not to touch the HSA, because this thing can grow and be really useful to you, at 65 and older. So, you know, after meeting these guys, I switched that. And now if I can, I don't touch it for my medical withdrawals, and I pay my medical payments out of my regular income, and I'm trying to leave the HSA alone. So that was a great tip that I learned from you guys.
Mm-hmm. So along those lines, it's kind of like a sneaky wealth building technique. And again, it kind of hinges on, you know, if you can afford to pay things with, you know, your emergency savings and things like that, or through income. So HSA wealth building techniques: make annual contributions to your HSA based on your coverage, applicable catch-up contributions. You invest the HSA dollars into low-cost index funds, mutual funds, individual stocks, based on your, you know, time horizon and risk tolerance, similar to how you would invest one of your retirement accounts over a long time horizon. Then you pay out for your out-of-pocket medical costs using your excess savings and, you know, the cash you have on hand from income. And then you hold on to your yearly medical receipts for perpetuity. And then distributions for medical expenses can be taken in future years so long as you retain the receipt, which is a fun thing I did not know, but you had to use it in those years. That's
Yeah, I'd say you could have a medical expense from 1992. So long as you held on to the receipt, you could take a distribution in 2022. Just make sure you retain the receipt, because the burden of proof is always on the taxpayer.
Correct. And even now with all those things are electronic, you know, you want to My Pen, medicine, all your bills are, you know, consolidated. So it should be easy to keep over the long term.
Right.
And
other planning opportunities. So, similar to IRA accounts and other types of investment accounts, you can do beneficiary designations on health savings accounts. When an account owner dies, like an HSA, like an IRA, can pass to a spouse who can continue to use it. If the spouse is a non-spouse, a child, for example, the beneficiary has up to 12 months to take any overlooked tax-free withdrawals on behalf of the account holder, including Medicare premiums. HSAs can also be used to pay for long-term care insurance. These types of LTC policy premiums can be reimbursed out of an HSA up to certain limits and based on the person's age. In 2023, someone age 40 or younger can deduct up to $450, 41 to 50, $890, 51 to 60, $1,790, 61 to 70, $4,770, and individuals who are 71 plus, you can use up to $5,960. And then last but not least, while regular medical insurance premiums are not considered an eligible expense, there are some exceptions. HSAs can be used to pay for COBRA premiums paid while receiving unemployment compensation, and Medicare and other health insurance coverage for clients ages 65 and older.
Very good. So for the first one, I guess kind of, you know, that scenario played out, you know, my parents were to die and then you get that bill, you know, past them being deceased for, you know, say like hospice care bills, things like that. There's money in the HSA. You can still use that money to cover those expenses, even though the, you know, prior account owner has passed on. So there's a, you know, you have that year window to still takes advantage of the tax-free withdrawals from it. What I was looking at. And then I think we just got the, you know, our disclaimer slide. Any questions from Leslie or Andrew, or are we all good?
I don't have any questions, but I just kind of reiterating what you guys said. I love the idea of, you know, pumping money into these things and then using them after age 65 for Medicare premiums or anything else, as you guys mentioned earlier, because then you can roll it into like an IRA vehicle, right? Did I get that right? After 65?
Essentially, yes. You're not paying the penalty anymore, so it is just another IRA account. There's no, you know, income limits on contributions like there are for, you know, traditional IRAs and things like that. So, you know, if you're already kind of maxing out the 401ks and things like that, then this is, you know, the next bucket that can be filled up to be, you know, saved over the long term.
Yeah. And it seems to me that companies are doing these more and more. They're getting more and more popular. A lot of people I talk to, the, you know, corporate health plans are these high deductibles and offering HSAs. Are you guys seeing the same thing? It's becoming very
Right, because
common.
it's if you're the employer and you're setting it up, and you're especially if the employer is paying for some of the coverage, then it's a lot cheaper for them to get the high deductible plans because the premiums will be lower. They're making contributions based on the premiums, and then also some employers will put money towards their employees' HSA accounts. My old employer, I think, would put in a little bit every year for everybody. My brother-in-law is something similar where his employer will kind of refund, medical expenses that you pull out of it, like into the HSA or something along those lines. So it kind of frees up another bucket for the employer to put some money into for the employees, and they can, write that off on their taxes and things like that.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a very flexible benefit.
Yeah, I like it. Any other comments, Andrew?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Great. Thanks everybody for listening to our webinar. We'll have more coming, more educational webinars coming your way. And if you have any suggestions on topics for us to cover, please reach out. Or if you have any questions about HSAs or any other topic that Andrew and Chris can help you with, please reach out.
All right.
Take care, everybody.